Jay, the 9/11 Families United made a strong statement yesterday. They said you co-opted the 9/11 community in taking a moral stance against LIV. How would you respond to that group?
Well, I read Terry's comments. I obviously acknowledge her loss.
PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan fields a question regarding Terry Strada.
Terry Strada, national chair for 9/11 Families United. She lost her husband Tom in the September 11th terrorist attacks.
And she did not hold back.
He sold out every single one of us. He turned his back on the 9/11 community.
Monahan, in an interview with the Golf Channel, would say the following.
I think about the fact that I allowed confidentiality to prevail here. And in allowing confidentiality to prevail, I did not communicate to very important constituents, including the families of 9/11. And I regret that. I really do. But as we sit here today, I think it's important to reiterate.
He would then shill for the Saudis, saying this is good for the game of golf. Strada disagrees and tells CNN she and the families were used.
I had spoken to many people in the organization back a year ago when LIV announced their coming out. And they were all eager to talk to us, yes, eager to even offer money to, go out and promote, this truth that we have about the kingdom and the role that they played in 9/11. Not one of them had the courage, the gumption, anything to give us a heads up, to call us, to talk to us about it, to share any of this with us. They just decided to help the regime, sports wash their reputation, to take these billions of dollars and say, ignore the billions of dollars that they used to spend on terrorism, on Al-Qaeda, on terrorist attacks like September 11th. Let's just put that all behind us, because now they're going to throw billions of dollars at golf.
With the quote-unquote merger with the PGA Tour and LIV Golf and the DP World Tour, PGA Commissioner Jay Monahan said not long ago that he would never take the money. And have you ever had to apologize for being a member of the PGA Tour? Now, that is completely different, and he has reversed course.
This is my question for you, Dominique. Do you want to be in debt to the Saudis?
Then they did. They did take the money. There are questions as to why exactly. A judge rejected LIV's arguments that the PIF and Yasser Al-Rumayyan are protected by sovereign immunity laws. There was optimism on the side of the PGA and the American public that if ongoing litigation at the time continued, we would potentially be given unprecedented access to the business practices of the kingdom. Then came this merger. Okay, and longtime journalist John Feinstein wrote in his article for the Washington Post that I find to be very interesting. The tour's position in court didn't look very strong. What's more, there was a chance that LIV's countersuit would boomerang into the government finding an antitrust violation.
Congress might need to now start to look at their tax-exempt status, because is the PGA still going to be able to have that with all of this money, with all of this influence from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia?
So basically, they may have wanted to avoid litigation after all. More from Feinstein. The tour almost certainly would have been required to open its books in the midst of its legal battles. No one in sports is more opaque than the tour. It won't even announce fines or suspensions and has been known to fine players merely for talking about being fined. It has always treated its books like a state secret while not paying any taxes because it's a 501c nonprofit entity, even though it clearly makes millions of dollars each year. It seems highly unlikely that the tour would want to share specifics about how much money it makes and where that money goes with LIV, the courts, or the public.
This is a sports washing entity. Its only sole purpose is to change the image of the kingdom.
The tour has thumped its chest about how much money it gives to charity, and it might very well be that every dollar it claims goes to the various charities is a wonderful thing, but what if some of the money taken in by tournaments has not been spent so wonderfully? That is the question. Monahan, meanwhile, who you saw opening up this entire clip, in my view, is taking the heat, and no doubt he should, but there are others who should as well. Listed here is the PGA Boards of Directors, the PGA Tour's Board of Directors. Monahan can sway anyone with words and presentations, but he must have the board on his side. There were reports Ed Hurley and Jimmy Dunn were also instrumental in getting this deal done. What were they paid to sign the dotted line? That is the question we should be asking. On top of that, the DP World Tour, also known as the European Tour, has their own board of directors. Questions should be asked to these folks on the left-hand side of your screen as well. Let's revisit the PGA Tour's board of directors, though. Ed Hurley, wrote Golf Monthly, had an important role during the 2008 financial crisis when a team led by him advised on deals to the tune of over $73 billion, including Bank of America's $44.7 billion acquisition of Merrill Lynch and Wells Fargo's buyout of Wachovia. One of his areas of expertise is representing companies involved in takeover battles and proxy contests. Jimmy Dunn, meanwhile, went to Notre Dame and is a big Wall Street guy. He serves as the vice chairman and senior managing principal of Piper Sandler, an investment bank and financial services company heavily involved in mergers and acquisitions. His whole goal, meanwhile, was to convince PGA Tour players to not get in bed and take the money from LIV, the PIF, and Saudi Arabia. Per Golf Digest, Dunn credits golf for saving his life on September 11th. Instead of going into work in the South Tower of the World Trade Center, Dunn was out of the office trying to qualify for the U.S. Mid-Amateur. He lost many of his close friends and colleagues and later helped set up a foundation that would pay college tuition for all 76 of the children of his fallen colleagues. And yet here he is saying, do not take the money, do not merge, do not go work with them, do not be in bed with them. And he's doing it. Do as I say, not as I do, is the mantra. Via Sally Jenkins of the Post, the PGA Tour found itself advised by the New York law firm Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen, and Katz, which is interesting because who's a partner and co-chair? Hurley. And what sort of work does the firm do? Multi-billion-dollar mergers and acquisitions. It's also known for its uniquely profitable billing system. It doesn't hit clients with billable hours, but large flat fees and percentages of deals. And what did Hurley's firm evidently advise the PGA Tour to do? Merge. And who is one of the firm's 3 lawyers representing the PGA Tour in this deal, while also sitting as chair of its board? Hurley, who was key to the development and implementation of this agreement, according to a PGA Tour spokesperson. Monahan, Al-Rumayyan, and Hurley will all serve on the new board. How about that? Be a friend of the show, Dave Zirin. These are the politics of golf, writ clear, authoritarian, angered at the thought of social responsibility, hostile to progress, and always looking for some big whale to suck up to with no regard to nationality or body count. Shame on any of us who thought this could have ended up in any way other than the Saudis is gobbling up pro men's golf while pink-faced PGA Tour fat cats look away from Saudi atrocities and count their money.